Hey everyone, welcome back to another class video for Warhammer Online, Return of Reckoning, the Age of Reckoning private server. It's me, Zarbix, or the Zarbix from Twitch. Let's go over the Shadow Warrior class. So we already done videos on the Bright Wizard, the Sorcerer, the Squig Herder. Now we're going to go into the Shadow Warrior. It is the bow user on Order side in this game. Their equivalent would be the Squig Herder on Destro side. In terms of class mechanic, they're more similar to the Marauder. They have three different stances they can go into. One is a static caster stance, one is a on the move archer stance, and the third is a melee stance. So you can see them right here in their core abilities. Assault, you're going to go your melee spec. It's going to give you increased auto attack speed, increased damage. It's going to convert all your ballistic, all your range crit, all those things to strength and melee type abilities and give you a more strength and weapon skill. Then you have your scout stance, which is going to be your static caster stance, your turret style stance, giving you more range, and then ballistic. And then finally, you're going to have your skirmish, which is your on the move. This will let you auto attack on the move, and this will let you give you a little bit more toughness. That's going to be your chase them down on the move spec. Going over a few more of their core abilities, which every class gets, guys. These core abilities aren't based on how many points you have into any of your mastery lines. They're going to be stuff that just stays strong as you're leveling up. So you have your flee in here, your stances. You're going to have your detaunt in here. They have a nice group AP regen ability, pretty nice. Steady aim, which gives you increased chance to critically hit by 50%. Which is pretty damn good, but it'll take 1.5 seconds to build up on your abilities. And then pretty much the bread and butter of the Shadow Warrior, which is your Vengeance of the Nagaryth. It's going to give you 25% more damage for 10 seconds. So this, and it's on a 30-second cooldown. So pretty much has 20-second uptime per minute. And this will just be a flat increase in damage, and you want to fire this off before you do your major rotation. So really, really nice damaging ability. No other class really gets this kind of thing baseline, so really, really good. And then you just have your self knockback. So you'll use this when you're surrounded by your enemies, you get pulled in by a marauder, or you're on a bridge, you want to punt yourself off into safety. So as people are around you, you'll snare them and you will go backwards. So really, really good when it's used defensively, guys, and the snare ain't too bad either. So those are your core abilities. Before we go into morales, tactics, and your different specs and your rotations, let's go into a little bit of stat priority. So stat priority for a Shadow Warrior is going to be first, range crit. Range crit is always going to be first. Next, you're going to go into ballistic up to about 1050 or so soft cap. Then you're going to want to go play into weapon skill. And then finally, range power, which the way range power works is it gives you a 1-for-1 equivalent to ballistic. And it's used after you get to 1050, every point of ballistic is worth half. So you'll need 2 points to get 1 extra point of ballistic at the soft cap. So range power is a way to go beyond that without getting it reduced. Not too many pieces of gear have it, but if you do find it on weapons or maybe on accessory pieces, it's very useful. So that's going to be your stat priority, guys. Of course, if you want to be more defensive, you can be. You can swap in defensive renown abilities. You can swap in toughness or more wounds, but in my opinion, as a Shadow Warrior, Squig Herder, Bright Wizard, Stork, any kind of range caster, you're much better off going more offensive if you can be. That's your point of your class. Let's go into morales, guys. So morales here, very similar. All the ranged physical bow users or range casters all have similar morales, the archetype ones, and then they have their unique ones. So for the most part, you're going to want to go concealment. That's going to be increasing your dodge and disrupt by 100%, 7 seconds, immunity to magic and range damage. So that means that a magus, sorcerer, DPS zealot, DPS shaman will not be able to hit you with any of their abilities for 7 seconds. So really, really good defensive tool. It's only morale 1, so one of the best in the game. The next one's here, pretty good too. Removes all hexes, curse, and ailments from you and regain 250 action points. This is actually pretty decent as well. It's a really good survivability tool, but again, you're probably going to want to run concealment, but this isn't really bad either. Point blank, it's a knockback ability, not that great, not that useful. You have other tools you can use. You're probably going to want to switch between concealment and forgiveness. Morale 2, ambush, really, really good if you're a melee Shadow Warrior. It gives a snare around you by 60%, unbreakable for 9 seconds, as well as doing damage. Really good as a melee Shadow Warrior, but you're going to want to probably use Focus Mind a little bit more due to the extra reduction in cast speed time, and also being able to ignore silence, disarms, root snares. Really good escape tool, really good offensive tool. Has a lot of different variations of it, of what you can use it for, so not bad at all. Then we have morale 3, which isn't going to be used that much, guys. You're probably going to want to use morale 1 and 2 more than these. It'll take longer to build up, and the time you waste building it up for the amount of extra benefit you get from it isn't really worth it. So, pick whatever you like, pick whatever you think might be beneficial to your class. Same goes for Whirling Rage and Hail of Doom. You're probably not going to get to morale 4 very often, and if you do, you might be better off just using morale 1 or 2. Let's go into the different specs you can go, and we'll go over some tactics as well. So, as we were talking about earlier, guys, Shadow Warrior has 3 unique specs. They're one of the only classes in the game that actually has 3 very, very distinct playstyles. So a lot of other classes, they might have, okay, yeah, this is your dot line, this is your single target line, this is your defensive line, but for the most part, you still feel the same. Shadow Warrior and to an extent Squig Herder feel very, very different depending on your playstyle. So the first one we'll go over is the Path of the Scout. This is your stand still and plink your arrows away, just like straight on burst, straight on damage. You're not moving, you're not kiting, you have to stand still to get the majority of your damage out there. So we're gonna assume that we're now rank 70. If you're not 70, guys, and you're trying to get these specs, you'll probably have to drop a few things here and there. So that's up to you what you think is less beneficial as you're getting there. But we're now rank 70 is pretty attainable. So what you're gonna want to do, guys, again, really good abilities as baseline gear, a 4-second silence, which is one of your one of the longest silences in the game. The only one who gets one longer is Shaman and Archmage, but they have the spec for it. So a 4-second baseline silence with a 1-second cast, super good against casters, against sorcerers, magus, healers, really, really good. And then just a bunch of damaging abilities. Eagle Eye is your main bread and butter cast ability, 2 seconds. We'll go over that a little bit later. Acid Arrow reduces chance to be blocked, and armor, also very good for your class. You're going to want to go into Fell the Weak. You're going to want to go into No Quarter, Poison Arrow, Enchanted Arrow, and Glass Arrow. Then you're going to want to go into your Skirmisher line for the heal debuff, which is one of the best in the game. There's no cooldown on it. It does a ton of, it reduces healing by 50% and has a pretty powerful dot on it too. And then you're going to want to go into Barrage as well. So those are kind of your main static bow spec. What you're going to want to do with this, guys, is you're going to want to put your dots on your target. So you're going to put on your heal debuff. You're going to put on your broadhead arrow. Then you're going to want to hit your acid and then start building up your major cast. So what this does is Fell the Weak is if they're below 30% health, you'll do a big amount of damage to them. So you're going to want to save this, guys, until you have them down low, and make sure you're using some add-ons that they're below 30% health. It'll be a good finisher. You're going to want to pop Vengeance of the Nag before you actually start firing off your rotation, so everything is buffed by 25%, or you can save it until right before you hit your big damaging abilities. So basically what this spec is now, guys, it's all based around Eagle Eye and Festering Arrow. So there was a recent change about a week ago to the class, made it a lot stronger. So No Quarter, it will reduce the build time of Eagle Eye and Festering Arrow by 1 second. So now instead of 3 seconds, which is really hard to get off, 2 seconds is much more viable. So 2-second Festering Arrow does magic damage, which is going to be reduced less than armor. And you're going to also have Enchanted Arrows, which will reduce the resistances to 0 for Flame Arrow and Festering Arrow. So pretty much this means it's going to do max damage if it's not blocked or dodged, and it's going to hit for a truck ton. I was hearing 2-3k hits from Festering Arrow. So you're going to want to fire off your dots, your broadhead arrow, your heal debuff. You're going to want to pop on your vengeance. Make sure that you have maybe your flame arrow out there, have your acid arrow for reduced armor, and then you're going to start hitting your festering arrow to reduce damage by that 2-second cast time for major damage, and then start your eagle eye if you can. So let's see if we can find where eagle eye is here. Right here, eagle eye for the 2-second cast will now be 1 second, and then maybe toss in your glass arrow, reduces ranged range of the caster. It's kind of like a near sight from Camelot, and then your festering arrow, which will be your casting every 5 seconds for that major burst. So you can do really, really good things with it, guys. For tactics for this kind of spec, you want to go into enchanted arrows, no quarter. Then you're going to go find, let's see if we can find it here, guys. Masterful aim and let's see. Sorry, guys. Here we go. And instinctive aim. So increase your strength, ballistic, weapon skill by 120. Increase your ballistic skill by 160. Tactics you can play around with, guys. There might be some that you think are better suited to you. Like Pierce Defenses is very nice. If you get blocked, reduces the chance that'll happen. There's also some really good ones as well. Your attacks have a 10% chance to be defended against. So there's a lot of different variety you can have in here if you don't want to go for the pure stat increase. But this is the more general cookie cutter spec for pure DPS. So that's going to be that spec line, guys. Remember, you're building your dots, throwing out your festering arrow, and doing your eagle eye. So let's reset. We'll go over the skirmisher line here. So again, we're now running 70. What you're going to do, guys, is you're going to go into, you're going to go up to, eye shot, which is your 3-second knockdown, guys. So this is only 2 classes on order side actually get a knockdown. One is the Bright Wizard and one is the Shadow Warrior. 3-second range stun. So good, guys. You're going to go into Shadow Sting for the heal debuff. You're going to go into Powerful Draw, so the increase in range of your abilities, making them full range. You're going to go into Barrage, and then you're probably going to want to go into Glass Arrow for your instant cast, 100-foot range, reduction in cast time. And that should be about it. I think you'll also want to pick up your dot here, and you're going to go into these 2, and then again go into Masterful Aim and Instinctive Aim. So you have some extra points at the end of this, guys, which you can use to boost your damage up in Skirmisher line to full, or you're going to want to be able to go into up in your Scout line for more damage from there. So that's going to be your kind of basic cookie cutter type on the move casting spec. Picking up all those abilities. Really, really good spells. You're not usually going to go for the morale 4s in this game. They're not really used all that often. It's kind of a waste of points, but that's more of your on the move, chasing you down, casting while moving spec. And again, all these abilities in the right tree here, guys, can be used without stopping. You can use them on the run, so that's a range snare that you can do for 10 seconds on the run. You have Broadhead Arrow, which is again on the move casting. Everything here can be used while you're moving. So again, this is less about pure DPS, more of a sustained damage spec, more of an assisting spec, putting out that heal debuff, putting out that range knockdown on targets, and then just slowly but slowly barreling them down. Finally, after that spec, we have, and again, in this spec too, again, same kind of spec. You'll use your Glass Arrow. You're going to want to build up your Broadhead, all your dots on your target. You're going to want to knock them down, and then as you're doing that, you're going to start plinking them into Oblivion. So that's your second spec there, guys. And finally, you have your melee spec, which is the middle line, which has gotten a lot of love on the server. You actually see more melee Shadow Warriors now than you do ranged, because it is so powerful. So at the 15-point ability here, which usually was a morale, it's actually an ability. This will teleport you to the spot the person was at when you fired it off. It's instant cast. Really, really good, guys. But again, it's not really used too much. What you want to go into, let's make it 7 points. You're going to want to go into Exploit Weakness, Crosscut, Swift Strikes. You're going to pick up the heal debuff, which is really, really good. Can use it in your melee spec. Doesn't require a stance to be in to fire it off. And then you want to pick up probably Barrage as well. And then you can choose and then you're going to definitely want to get Merciless Soldier. So this is going to be your main line, or you can even go 2 extra points in here for the just to increase the damage. That's more up to you. This is more the bread and butter. The rest is really up to you guys on what you want to put your points into. As long as you're getting all the abilities, as long as you're getting Merciless Soldier, you can kind of decide what else you want to get. No Respite, pretty good too. 50% damage from under 45 feet away. And then again, pick up your tactics and then decide what else you want to do. Maybe you're going to want to go into your Masterful Aim and Replenishing Strikes. Sorry, not Replenishing Strike. Instinctive Aim. But this gives you a lot more variety on what you actually want to fire off. And here's where you can actually take different morales. Use the ones that are close range, like Ambush. Use the ones like Whirling Rage, stuff that you can instill fear, things that now you can use because you're going to be in melee range all the time. As for stat priority for melee Shadow Warriors, guys, it's going to be the same because of the way that your stances work. Any ballistic range crit that you have in your armor already in your gear is going to be converted over to strength and weapon skill and melee crit already. So you don't have to respec your gear or have a different set to fire this this ability off, to be melee Shadow Warrior. So that's going to be your main 3 specs, guys. Don't really know too much about the melee Shadow Warrior rotation right now, so maybe we'll go over that in another video. But those are the 3 main lines. So you remember, you have your turret style Shadow Warrior, you have your melee Shadow Warrior, and you have your skirmisher Shadow Warrior. You're on the move. Morale is really, really good. Your stat priority, again, going to be ballistic. Sorry, it's going to be range crit, ballistic, weapon skill, and then range power. Tactics, you're going to pick up the ones that you spec into, as well as the increase to ballistic and weapon skill and ballistic power. Always use your Avenge of the Nagaroth guide. It's going to be really important for you. Morales, concealment, very good. Focused mind, very good. And that's about it. As for gearing up your Shadow Warrior, Vanquisher gear is going to probably be the best spec for you right now. It's going to be your offensive line. You get it from gold bags in tier 4 and Vanquisher medallions. You're probably going to pick up the weapon from Subjugator from the purple bags and zones, and you're going to pick up your bow from scenarios. From 2260 emblems, from Oppressor or Conqueror emblems. So that's the main Shadow Warrior stuff, guys. Hopefully you learned something. If you have a differing of opinion or you think you have a better spec for the class, feel free to post it in the comments below. If you have any more questions, hit me up on Twitch. We can discuss it further. And again, there's always patches every week. So just because this is how it is right now, they might be getting some changes in the future. So thanks for everything, guys. Thank you for watching this video. And I will see you next time with more class stuff. Looking forward to doing, I think, the Engineer and the Magus next, and then moving on to melee and healers. All right, guys. Thank you and have a great day.